Thank you and good afternoon. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report, Tuesday, January 31st. We've got a big showdown in Kansas and Kansas State in the Sunflower Showdown. We're going to go through that briefly. In college basketball, the Kansas State Wildcats play the Kansas Jayhawks, number 7 versus number 8. Then the Jayhawks, the Cats still won in Manhattan. The Hawks just avoided a four-game losing streak in 20 years. Bill Self has not lost 4 games. I feel like Missouri loses 4 games. Except maybe this year. The Hawks' best player was Jalen Wilson, who had 38, 30, 23, and 22 in 3 out of 4 games that they lost. So obviously Jalen Wilson's their best player and averages their most points. Leading Kansas State will be Keontae Johnson, scorer in the game. 18 he averages. Keontae Johnson fell and hit the ground during to what was thought of being the coronavirus. He transferred from Florida to Kansas State. The fact that he leads any team in scoring, and that's pretty amazing. And a Big 12 team that is 7th in the nation is even more amazing. The Jayhawks are pretty close in every category. The Cats averaged 77.7 points a game. The Jayhawks averaged 75. The points again 67.5 for the Jayhawks and 67.3 for the Cats and 67.5 against for the defenses. So Kansas gives up 67.5 and Kansas State gives up 67.3. It's all pretty close in the stats and really close. But the fact that it's at Allen Fieldhouse and the fact that the Cats still won, I don't think the Jayhawk fans or team will be taking that lightly. The Jayhawks are favored by 8.5. 85-75 is my prediction. Game time is at 7. The Jayhawks look for a split in the series this year. Another game as Iowa State led by 17 and 23. And the Cats are in the top 15. It was the biggest comeback in Texas Tech history as they were down by 23 at one point. And the Texas Tech was just a game over 500 and 0-8, but they came all the way back and tied it with 21 seconds to go at 71. The game went into overtime. It came down to the wire, 80-77. Iowa State took some really bad shots, including a three-pointer that they didn't have to take. Way too much time on the clock, and if it was a really bad shot, Texas Tech would make the 2 free throws, and then Iowa State had to try a 3. That did not go. Texas Tech was 0-8 after beating Iowa State last night on Monday night. Texas Tech Raiders are 1-8. The last Tuesday, the Cats lost to the Cyclones, but now the Cyclones have lost 2 in a row, including to Missouri and Texas Tech, as we said. Also, number 11, Texas, home game over Baylor. Texas wins 76-71. Texas leads the Big 12 if the Kansas State Wildcats would lose. Otherwise, they would be tied for number 1 in the standings. Mizzou will play LSU. We'll do that more tomorrow. They had the most votes for top 25 teams that didn't get in the poll, so 26 is Missouri. Mizzou is 16-5 and has moved up to number 7 in the polls. 12-9 or still number 7 seeding in the NCAA tournament. LSU is 12-9 and has really struggled in the SEC. Has only won 1 game, and that was in the first game. They have lost 8 consecutive games now. Game time is at 8. Game shouldn't be that close. Missouri is favored by 11.5. Missouri to host. Let's break down the Chiefs wide receivers. Of course, the Chiefs beat the Bengals in the AFC Championship. Planned to trade Tyreek Hill and had already signed Juju Smith-Schuster. They trained on having some players that get injured a lot. Scantling is one of them, but he wasn't injured in this game. McCole Hardman came back on the field for the first time in 2 months after being day-to-day. He got hurt again. He had been out since Week 9, and my guess is he will give it a go, as it may be his last game as a Chief. Kadarius Toney also hurt his ankle. He could also be in trouble. Hardman got hurt. Juju Smith-Schuster sustained an ankle injury. I think all these guys will be back. But the point is, the Chiefs will need these guys for the Super Bowl. Other sports news: the Broncos hired Sean Payton. It did not come out without it costing money and it costing trades. The Broncos traded their first-round pick this year and their next year's second-round pick next year, and the Saints received a third-round pick, which means to me the Broncos gave up too much. It's going to be hard to coach a team with not a lot of young players, which means the salary cap will be up because once a player's been there for 4 years of experience, you have to pay him more money because the rookie contract runs up. You don't have as many picks. You also don't have as young a team, which makes your team worse. I give them a C because of what the Broncos had to give up. I would have gave them a B for the hire. They just don't have a quarterback to develop, but maybe they just don't have. Because of Russell Wilson, I would have gave them a B. But if they didn't have a quarterback, I don't think I would hire him. But obviously, that's why the Broncos did hire Sean Payton. My guy would have been Jim Harbaugh, so that's why I gave him B+ if the trade was not made. I obviously gave them a C. I would have given them an A if they hired John Harbaugh. Hire coming down, the Texans hired D'Amico Ryan. I'm going to give them A- for that reason. I would have wanted an offensive coordinator. At least I would have took a look at an offensive coordinator that could develop quarterbacks because I think it works better out. Mike Kafka would have gave it a look, but that would have been a little better hire. But given the Broncos hired him, they probably couldn't hire him. The Broncos were the first team to talk to Sean Payton. I think maybe this is the best the Texans could do. Again, maybe I would have signed Sean Payton to develop a second-round pick who a lot of people expect the Texans to draft a quarterback. This is Sam Vaughn for Sam Sports Report.